I found it was a good idea that we probably needed to chat a few things about these radicals again, and I wanted to actually make mention of a couple more things on the quiz preview that I mentioned on that video, but I want to hit it up one more time to make sure that we're okay with things. So I'm over in your practice. I'm going to be looking at page 7 and 8 here. And just a few reminders. You do have a riddle at the bottom that could help because as you do answers, you should get them back. If you're not matching up, that would be a problem. So, as we look here, I'm just going to bounce around to a few that I think could cause issues if we're not careful, and hopefully I pick the good ones. So, first one, again, if you got two radicals, you just multiply the stuff that's underneath. Multiplying the coefficients, if there's exponents involved, we add those. Then we just look and we go, okay, break down the radical using my help sheet. And with these, 2 goes into 4 twice. There are no leftovers. Just done. If I have radicals that are in the denominator of my fractions. Let's do this one. 30. I might look first to see if I can break down 30, but what I'm going to find out is that none of these squares that are less than 30 go in, so I have to deal with this. Here's the thing I want you to be aware of, though. Okay, again, the radicals in the denominator cancel. I say it and then I don't do it. They cancel. There it goes. Before you go looking for an answer, because you're not going to find this one down below, look to see, can you reduce math enter or using your brain? Those are each divisible by 6. That's what you're going to be looking for down below. Okay? So always break down your radicals, reduce them as best you can, and if they go together, great. And if they can't go any further, that's okay as well. So that's something we have to keep an eye on. One other one I want to take a peek at with these, just again, because it's a little different, is 15. Because on 15, I start to do my breakdowns. Now 22 doesn't break down at all, so we're going to leave that one for the moment. So I get to here and I'm like, okay, I know I can multiply those coefficients together. And I'm going along. Now I get to here. These two are like terms. I can put them together. That 2 square root of 22 not only doesn't break down, it's not a like term. That's as far as you can go. So always be checking, and that's the advantage of having the answers down at the bottom as well, because, you know, you can see right away if it's going to match up with one of the things that you have or if it's not. So one last reminder. I'm going to play with number 13 here. Multiply your coefficients. Multiply the stuff under. Now when I say multiply, coefficients we multiply, exponents we add. So I'm going to keep this 15 on the outside. I got stuff to do in here. So looking for perfect squares. And again, remember, I don't see it, but my root out here is 2. So 2 into 8, 4 times. None left over. 2 into 5, 2 times. And I have a remainder of 1. So that is going to stay under the radical. But there's one last thing, because I'm looking at my answers and I'm like, I don't see that. These coefficients can still go together. And I thought I saw it. There it is. and I've got it. Okay? Between this and the notes we did yesterday, I think we should be good on the breakdown portion of things, if we're careful. And again, just the reminder again that if you need to in class, I've got a few more of the answers worked out so you can kind of see. And then it just rolls to the same stuff here in the back. Nothing different. Again, just getting that additional practice with the basics so we don't make silly mistakes when it comes to the quiz. But again, you've got answers here, and I'll have the answer to the riddle in class as well. Back to the preview, just to remind you of a couple of things that some of you may be in a panic about if you have not looked at the quiz preview at this point. Question at the point B, why haven't you? Okay. I'm going to chat this one more time in case you haven't seen that. We're going to treat this like it's 16x squared minus 1. And if it was, those are both perfect squares. So I'd have this set 4x. Normally, if it was squared, it'd be 4x plus 1, 4x minus 1. But it's not. We're going to have the squared part. Here's the thing. Okay? Before you go to solve this, or when you go to solve this, normally we would just take each set of parentheses, set them equal to 0, and we'd go. On this one, I can actually do that. I can add the 1 to the other side. I can divide both sides by 4. And remember, the opposite of squared is square root. And since it's 2, I can have 2 answers. The square root of 1 is 1. The square root of 4 is 2. Over here, now this is a different story, because we have an issue that there's a negative over here. If you try to take the square root of the negative in your calculator, you're going to get an error message because it's an imaginary or complex number. We haven't discussed those yet. So I wouldn't expect you to know that you pull an I out. Oh dear, pull an eye out, that hurts. We'll discuss that a little closer to Halloween, isn't that convenient? But when you're on your quiz, and I'm going to say this again on quiz day, if you can get to this, or better yet, that's a difference of squares. You're like, crap, Hardy, I can break that down again. If you get me to this and can just solve those 2 individual problems, you're golden. I'm not expecting you to do plus minus. I'm not expecting you to do I'm not expecting you to do any of that. I do expect you to be able to factor this, though, and to know that that's going to go down again because it's still a difference of squares. There's no such thing as a sum of squares. At least not when we're talking about, unless we talk about imaginary numbers, which we're not. Factor it well. That's what I need from you. Okay, I think I've said that like 3 times now. Probably enough at this point. The only other things I will mention, because the preview video takes care of the rest, absolute value are your V's, step functions are steps, okay. Plugging in values shouldn't be a problem. And then down here at the bottom, remember, start your lines here. Whether you're using the calculator and values or you're dotting your lines and then erasing, they have to start at x equals 2 or they're wrong right off the bat. Okay? Between the preview, this video, and what we did yesterday, I'm confident you can do well on this quiz if you've been doing what you need to do. But again, check answers, do the practice, go through the struggle. It'll be worth it. All right, we'll see you tomorrow.